As per usual, I'm going to oil out the surface, rubbing medium all over while painting it. Just make sure it's got some everywhere. I primed some board with a couple of coats of it's an acrylic primer, household acrylic primer, and then I've used some acrylic Raw Umber paint to just create this ground, this imprimatura layer. And I'm just going to rub it off, gently rub it off. Sorry if things wobble around a bit. Just going to check that I've got everywhere evenly. Just looking from the side, so there's a fair amount of medium on there, so I won't mix so much on the palette. So the only thing I have on my palette is Raw Umber. And I'm just going to do the drawing today. I am working from a grid. I've just done a sort of, it might be difficult to make out, but I've just used a brown crayon so it won't show up too much. Okay, so I'm just going to make a couple of markers. This is her brow. So there's definitely quite a lot of medium on there. I do hope to do some demonstrations of painting from life and things like that, but it's not really the purpose at the moment anyway of these demonstrations. I'm just showing my general working process. If I was painting a portrait to commission, I might use a grid. If I was just sent a photo and that was the only way I'd meet the sitter, if it was a posthumous portrait, it would absolutely be from a photo. And this is how I would transfer a photo to a canvas or board. Trying to map out some areas. So her eye is going to sit, it definitely sits in here. So hopefully I've got it all in the right place. It's quite tricky sometimes, and sometimes I've found, oh dear, you know, I've just misread the grid, and then there's an eye 2 squares up, nose is over here somewhere. Hopefully I'm not going to show myself up and it is okay. So I'm putting it on fairly crudely at the moment. What I'll do is I'll start with a hog's hair. I can start modelling it a little bit. This is just the line of the shadow actually. It's not that far in. So there is just, I can cut into the line that I drew. I can just wipe it off actually. So the chin is here. And then it's down here. So just her jaw just intersects. There's a little grid line there. Doing a bit of medium with some paint. And when I was just looking for a file online, there are various sort of images, but the one from the Google art project that I felt had the highest resolution, just I'm not sure if it's cropped necessarily, maybe I've never actually seen the original painting, but it's just slightly cropped at the very, very top. So I'm just going to go with, I just thought I'll go with that. Sometimes I just get too worried about these things. No, that's not right. Oh, I do apologise. So I'm looking at it up here actually. That's the top. all very, very dark. I am using a hog's hair brush. I think Rubens probably used a sable. Probably, I don't think I'll fill in the background just today, simply because I won't be able to find the drawing again. It's just, I'll do that when this is dry. I'll work up to this. Now at the moment, I'm not sure if I've got her gaze directly at us. I don't know why, I'm just going to find out. Possibly, yeah, I hadn't painted her eye large enough, so just got some shadow around here. I need some reinforcements. I think I need my sable brushes. I'm just literally going to dip a brush in medium, just use it to pull some of the paint around a bit. So I've got this shadow just above her nose, or just the bridge of her nose. It's all completely in shadow. It's okay to just paint around here in this shadow, just because I'm cutting into the line. I know where the line of her jaw is. I've got a sable here. Maybe that's better, who knows. Trying to make sense of her collar. I mean, that's just straight along there, isn't it? And it's maybe just her collar in where it catches the light. It's still in shadow, but it's lighter there. Okay, I just want to try and approach how I would genuinely work on this. I'm just learning how to do that as I do these videos, so that it's as authentic as I can make it. What I mean is I'd be right up there, very, very, very close, but you wouldn't be able to see it, I don't think. And so I'm just really thinking, just really aware of the paint as this sort of liquid that's just on the surface of on the painting surface, whatever that is. Just moving that around, trying to sort of treat it almost like clay. Very distinctive, and he's captured her upper lid just with a beautiful stroke of the brush. Just I don't know what it was. It wasn't my messy hog's hair. I'm going to invest in some more brushes soon. So that's definitely up there, isn't it? It's not. What I need is just something just to take some paint off. Maybe just a finger is the best. The faces are so subtle, just the tiniest alteration and you just completely change the expression, especially eyes. I've really found to my cost, just sometimes you have to leave alone. If you do too much, you can go on and on and on. See, this is just taking it off now, which is annoying. It's much darker in here. So basically, it's bigger than that. It's up here. Right up there, actually. This is the shadow of her cheekbone. And just basically it's all the same value from sort of here on in, and it's very dark. This is all black, so I'll have to go over this. I'll get another glaze in a while. Very steep angle her eye travels on the lower lid up here, and then catches the shadow just behind, travels sort of down and underneath. Just wiping the paint off my brush, and I'll come back in. I mean, honestly, I'd probably spend, realistically, a couple of hours doing this, and then maybe go back to it again after. So it's all a bit speeded up. I'm laying on a lot of paint, but I can just take it off in a sec. So Rubens probably, he might have done the sort of underpainting like this, like a sort of bistre, but maybe also he would have used white. White can be quite useful now at this stage for possibly, bringing out some of the highlights and using, helping to as an aid to sort of sculpting the form. So I'm going to start adding a little bit of white. I feel like I've got well, as close as I can at the moment with the drawing. I could keep going, it could take, you can spend as long as you like, but yeah, I'm just going to get some white to just start bringing some highlights away from the imprimatura, the ground that I've got. Just have a look, just see what it's like anyway. Bearing in mind there is medium on the surface. Just makes it a lot easier. So the middle tone is the ground. So that's not pure white. We'll just feel our way around. So you can see just in this shadow just under her eye, the ground works very well. I mean, it's quite close, just relative to this highlight. Okay, there's quite a lot of paint on this brush. I keep trying to get rid of it. It's too much. So you can see I'm not going back to the palettes. I've just got a certain amount of white paint on my brush and I'm just trying to dispense with that. I just use it as much as I can all over the painting. It's just being very careful not to just dive in there and just do too much. So just sort of very tentative steps, just gently feeling our way, and the paint that I've got on the brush is enough, and I'm just pushing that around a little bit. So it keeps coming off. There's loads there. I don't have to go right up to the drawing, I can go right up just to the ground. I can just find where the right value, where the ground gives the right value in the middle tone. She doesn't actually have a black line under her eye there, so that's just part of the drawing. A bit more white. Obviously it doesn't look anything like her at all, which is a concern at the moment. I say it a lot, but it's for me, it's just all about holding my nerve, just really try not to panic, just keep going, and hopefully things fall into place. I'm trying to sort of get a sense, there's her cheekbone, but just how does it, just try and articulate it with the stroke of the brush. Get a sense of the shape of it. Through light and shade. So just generally, where there's a highlight here because it's starting to just have this lovely, she's smiling and her cheeks sort of slightly bulging, hence the highlight. Slapping it on a bit here, but that's all good. This is the lightest part, and he's used in the highlights later when he's done the sort of final glaze. This is where he's put on the really bright highlights. Can't make any sense of all of this area. So there's too much paint on the brush there. I can just get that off with my lovely rag. And here's her cheek. Yeah, probably this will help me. Maybe I'll just put a bit more white, a little bit of medium. Try and find this line. I don't do that, I just started making that up then. No, it's a bit it's too strong really. Then you could just get this ripple. I'll pick that off in a sec. Again, there isn't a line here, but that's going to be transformed by the glaze, so it is a little bit light. Just try and take some of it off. Just bearing in mind that it's always good to be lighter before glazing, so not to worry too much about that. So I don't want her to be cross, but her eyebrow's definitely coming down a little bit. So I'm mixing it on the surface. There's some raw umber there already, and this line doesn't exist. That was very satisfying. So the raw umber's already there, and just going, there's not much paint on the brush, and just suddenly you just arrive at the right value. It's just something to get a feel for. There's medium on the surface. There's a little bit of medium in this white. But I haven't got too much white on the brush, and so therefore I'm able to it's just a shade darker, isn't it? It's you've got the very white highlights where there's more white paint. So this is all probably going to be a bit too light, but that's okay. Still absolutely doesn't look anything like her at all. But we're just building the foundations for a likeness. So yeah, I'm just saying that it's just, you just get a feel for it after doing it, and you get a feel for it within a particular painting as well. You can see at first I'm just trying to find my way, and then suddenly I realise I get to a point where there is just enough white on the brush, and that includes picking up white that's actually that I've laid down already. Like here, there's a lot of it. So if I haven't got so much white on the brush, I can just go and retrieve some from somewhere. That's okay. It's just to emphasise that it's just all about actually just sitting there and doing it, and having a go. Just really don't know what's happening. I spent a long time sort of modelling those transitions. Michelangelo was a great modeller. It's his The Entombment in the National Gallery in London. If you don't, so it's a work in progress, and it's left unfinished. So all of the faces are at sort of different stages, and I don't like it when it goes too far. There's some, I don't know, quality that I don't personally like. But you can see how he sort of modelled the forms in various layers. It's really lovely. You can have a look at that on the National Gallery of London's website. There's, they've got one of those programs where you can zoom into it, so you can see it in quite fine detail. And it's really just gorgeous modelling. I'm just gonna. It's okay. It's just way too dark here. I was just trying to draw the line a bit, so it's really good to just use the brush. I can just soften the line as well. Very careful. So we're just coming to the end of this video now, and on my Patreon page there's another 2 that cover this underpainting in full, and they're all about 45 to 50 minutes long, these videos, and then it goes into the glazing videos as well. So if you'd like to see the whole process, it's all going to be available there. That's patreon.com/Matt Harvey Art. But again, I hope you've enjoyed it, and it does get better. Tiny bit. There's a lot of paint there. Just trying to lighten that just a shade. Drawing is not right here, so I'm drawing it now.